What's up, everybody? Bad Gamer, popping back in. It's time for Gametography, the show. I don't even know if my audio is going right now. I don't know. Hold on, let me check the audio because it's not feeding into. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Okay, all right. Welcome to Gametography, the show where we talk about games and photography, and we smush them together like two things of brandy, some tea, some honey, and some lemon, what you call a hot toddy, which I could totally use right now. I'm Bad Gamer Elite, one of your hosts. And hey, Logan's here. What's up, Logan? I know we usually do our Gametography shows on Saturday, but I was out of town on Saturday and we tried to do it. It could have gone a lot better. A lot better. And we thought it was very important to have our guest on. We needed to get the word out and talk about a few things. So joining us, and I was balancing a lot of chats. Nice, Logan. I'm joined by the lovely, the wonderful, the OG co-host, Disney Pix Chick. What's up?
What's up? How are
And
you?
joining us along with Disney Pix Chick is the incomparable godfather of gametography, in our eyes anyway. Drew Taylor, aka that guy that is one of the pillars of making us what we are.
How do I even come on after that? Come on. Thanks, Slim. Hey, great to be here.
Oh,
Great to be
man.
here.
All right, you guys. So again, this show we talk about games and in-game photography, aka virtual photography. Today we're going to be talking about a very important piece of our community that is coming along quite well, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. We're also going to talk about a couple of games that we have that we're trying out. But before we do that, because we couldn't catch up on Saturday, and Drew's the guest, why don't you tell Drew? Why don't you tell us about your week?
My week. My week has been punctuated mostly by extraordinarily late nights, early mornings, playing Control. So I always knew that I would love this game, and I started playing it about 3 or 4 nights ago. And oh my goodness, I'm like about 30 minutes, maybe an hour into the gameplay, and I've been playing it for 12 hours.
Oh my!
So 12 to 14 hours. So the photo mode is absolutely delight. It needs a couple of features. Like, it's certainly not the most robust of photo modes,
Right.
but the combination of the game and oh my gosh, and what you can do with the glitches and how many little different kind of cool techniques you can wring out of that photo mode. I'm in love. So yeah, it's killing me though. It's like 3 or 4 hours sleep a night at the moment, and it's hurting, but loving it. So I'm sure I'm behind the 8 ball in playing this one compared to everyone else, but I'm hopefully posting up photos that are a little bit different. So that's always my goal.
Yes.
Is to try and see a game differently.
Great job with that.
Thanks.
Very
Thanks.
impressed.
So
Hey,
that's me.
Gavin Infinity's here. I'm sorry I missed your birthday stream. Got a major headache and ended up going to bed early. I went to bed earlier than I thought I would as well, Gavin. No worries, bro. All right.
I didn't even get home till 11:30 last night.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, well
I couldn't join your stream. Sorry.
that's gotta suck.
Yeah.
What you been up to, Disney Pix Chick?
I've been playing a lot of games for the
Really?
sole purpose of doing gametography. I challenged myself to do one picture a day in gametography and post it at the very least on Instagram. Sometimes I'll post it other places, but the very least will go on Instagram. So I've been playing God of War,
Ooh.
Horizon Zero Dawn, Concrete Genie,
Oh my.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Wow. All in a week?
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption, Wolfenstein, Spider-Man, Uncharted. Yeah,
How many would you play in a night?
it depends.
Okay.
Yeah, this week specifically, since Saturday, it's been Red Dead Redemption, Kingdom Hearts, and God of War.
Ooh.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
Nice.
anyway, yeah. So,
All right.
all kinds of games.
Yeah, and you've been actually keeping up with your New Year's resolution.
I have.
Impressive.
I have. I've been trying to anyway.
I have. Let's see, what did I play this since we last talked? I mean, as a group. Let's see. I played Overwatch, of course. And then I played the whole of the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC. Mainly because I wanted to get into the data greetings piece, which is their what I want to call their diorama / photo mode, because it's fantastic, and we're going to talk more about that as well. But I've been playing. I played. Oh my gosh, what is it? Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which, as frustrating as I get with it, as frustrated as I get with it, and as many bemoozled challenges as I have to take with it, I love that game. It's a lot of fun. It gets you in the Star Wars universe, and I am playing on baby mode so that it continues to be fun. Because
You're almost finished with it, though, right?
I think so. Most people have said that that it's pretty far. I'm pretty far into it, so I think that I'm doing okay. We'll find out.
I only laugh because the couple of times I've watched you on stream, it's been a montage of dying repeatedly.
Yes, it has.
Some people have training montages. You seem to have death montages.
Yes, I do. It is not pretty. It is definitely not pretty. But I enjoy it. I have fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, that photo mode too. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't even matter if you're sort of loving or hating the gameplay. That photo mode is pretty special, from what I can tell.
I've been having a blast with it. But I've been playing, like I said, that Overwatch. I got into, because we didn't get to talk about it on Saturday, Walking Dead Season 3 by Telltale Games, because Reese, Disney Gamer, picked that up for me and invoked Bad Gamer on Demand. I am on episode 2. I may end up, because I'm going back out of town again. I've been doing seminars with the Quake Events group on gaming and faith, and I've been trying to stream, but it doesn't always happen, especially when, like this past weekend, when the hotel internet was horrible. Uh, when, uh, when I forgot my PS4 controller at home, so I had to go out and get one. So that killed that stream. And apparently, there are super Walmarts across this nation that close at midnight. What is that? I mean, Wichita is where I was. Wichita, Kansas. That's a pretty spry community. I would think that it would be. What's up, Queenie? No, that is a sicky lem you see, sis. I am wearing the most comfortable things I own so that we can continue on with the Gametography show, and I can feel comfy.
Wait.
What?
Are you in my Halloween costume?
I am in my Grumpy Bear onesie.
Yeah. So you are in my Halloween costume?
No, I'm in my Grumpy Bear
no.
onesie.
Mm-mm. No.
This is
no,
what
no.
happens when siblings do a show. So yeah,
We wore the same thing for Halloween this year.
It's-
The exact
it's true.
same thing.
It was
for
so
Halloween
weird,
this year.
and we didn't even talk about it. We had no
No.
clue.
I actually got mad because I couldn't wear mine yet, and I was getting ready for my evening, and I happened to look on the show because he was doing a show that morning, and I was like, seriously? Seriously? What are you wearing?
Yeah.
I feel
can't
mentally
wear that.
scarred because I can't see you, and now I've got just this mental
All right,
image
Queenie.
of someone in a bear onesie, grumpy bear onesie, talking to me on stream. Like,
All right.
It's
Have you?
a really
Do you remember Care
comfortable.
Bears?
that's going worse. Yes.
I have a onesie that's fashioned out after Grumpy Bear.
Oh my goodness. Here we go. All right.
I mean, it's not
I'm done.
It's not like I'm wearing my Chewbacca onesie that I wear at the Quake stands.
Oh dear.
So yeah. But yeah, so that's been my week, you guys. I was in, like I said, I was in Wichita this past weekend. This weekend I will be in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So shout out to Allentown. Whoop, whoop. So, and Queenie, I'll let you know when I'm going to be around for in North Carolina. So yeah, that's the thing.
Awesome.
That's what's going on this week. Again, our IRL gallery, we've been actually concentrating, like, we still have images up, but we've been concentrating more on the channel versus the IRL gallery. And I have been changing out images, but we've been focusing on the patrons and the folks that sub here, and so I just, for what do you call it? I can't think. I'm not feeling well, you guys. For transparency, I always like to let people know what we're doing, what the patrons are working on, what their donations are working toward. We like to reward folks for doing well, and just for instance, we had once where we had a donation by Gametography, and we gave away a Microsoft Office suite, because gametographers need to be organized too.
We certainly do. All those photos to file, all those
dates on what am I gonna shoot this day, what am I gonna shoot that day.
Yeah,
it's important. Hey, Zoltar's here. What's up, Zoltar?
So where would someone find all the details for your Patreon?
Well, if in the,
because until we spoke last Tuesday, I did not know there was one.
Oh,
so
yeah, it's patreon.com/gametographers.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Right there in the chat for those that are watching, and if you're watching elsewhere, It's patreon.com/gametographers. And we do things to encourage folks to get better at games and gametography, and also to try new games for gametography. So we give away some games every now and then.
Nice.
Mostly PC games. Occasionally we'll give away a console game. Um,
Yep.
But if you want to get in on the conversation, you could join our Discord. That Discord is a bunch of gametography nerds that will be so excited to talk to you. You guys, if you are wondering what is this whole gametography thing that they keep talking about, and how do I get involved with it, and what does it take to get good at it, check it out.
Awesome.
So check out the Discord. Plus, it's also a place, we call it the conservative hippie commune coffee shop. It's a place to just get support, not just in your gametography, but in just your everyday life. We have people there that just
Nice.
love to love. So,
Awesome.
we're there for you. Zoltar, I have 100% Zepho, Banago, Kashyyyk before really even going to Dathomir. Working on that place now. Nice. Zoltar 118 is in the middle of Jedi Fallen Order as well. Well, not in the middle per se, but
In the midst.
in the midst of. So yeah, so there we go, you guys. Today we want to talk about a little something that we know as Off Map Magazine. Now, I can talk about what I know
That sounds
about
like
it.
a great name for a magazine.
It's a perfect name for a magazine, especially if it's a. Oh, Queenie, I'm talking to Drew Taylor. He's the publisher, owner, guru, mastermind behind Off Map Magazine.
Hey.
Yeah, so, and I'll put a link in the chat for that right now. Give me a sec here. I'm pulling it up. But Drew, could you tell us a little bit about Off Map? What is this? Why? What is the magazine? Let's just talk about that. What's it about?
Sure. I guess a little bit of context. So obviously, a couple of us worked together, gametographers, on the gallery exhibition at PAX Australia with Horizon Zero Dawn, and that was really about taking game photography and putting it on another level, like giving it a new perspective and giving it sort of a position alongside other artworks that you would see in a gallery space. And so really inside me there's this desire to see game photography appreciated, not just in the sphere that we normally put it in, and that's usually shared through social media feeds, or as part of sort of marketing challenges set by game companies and game publishers. But I really believe that it's a powerful medium that can actually explore games in new ways, in much the same way that games writers have been writing about games for ages. We've now got like this opportunity to add to that commentary and to show facets of games that people just sort of run straight past when they're playing, or don't see from a particular perspective. And so Off Map Magazine is something that I've been thinking about since that gallery exhibition. I've got a love for print magazines, because in a lot of ways that's almost, in some ways, the purest form of art, where you can stop and you can appreciate it, and we put it on our walls and we put it in galleries, and we have time to contemplate it. not just, sort of click through on our feeds.
Yeah.
And so a print magazine was something that I really had a heart for. And I love the idea of combining game photography with other artistic mediums, with other art forms, and presenting it as a total commentary on a game. So, when we explore Overwatch, for example, which is what the first issue is based on, we always talk about it in terms of it being a team-based shooter, and in terms of, the excitement and the adrenaline and the teamwork and the ults and the different stats and buffs and weapons of each of the heroes. But game photography and in fact creative writing and design allows it to explore it in a different way. So really it's about smushing. I use your smushing analogy. It's about smushing game photography and creative writing. So not the kind of writing that you're used to with regards to games, but more creative writing, more personal, there's a whole lot of different forms of writing. So everything from there's personal reflections, there's opinions, there's poetry, there's poetic prose, there's anaphoras, there's all kinds of different styles of micro writing, which is what I'm kind of termed writing that's less than 200 words. And so it's about taking game photography and putting writing together and then laying it out in a really fresh kind of way. And the idea is, why is it important? Because we need to explore games in new ways. I get the feeling that we've been, ever since, I think, in some ways, Twitch streams and the like, since those, we really haven't explored something new since streaming. We haven't really looked at games in another way. And I know print media seems like a backward step with that, but it's about taking different elements in the same way that music often goes back and borrows something old and adds something new to it. So that's what this does. Why is it important? Because game photographers need more spaces where we can showcase our work. We need spaces that allow our work to exist longer than a few minutes, or and to be appreciated and to be revered in some ways. I love my print magazines because, particularly the more designer style ones, which is what Off-Map is, it's an art gaming magazine. I go back and I pull out old issues and they're still relevant because they're timeless in what they're saying. Whereas like a new style magazine, sort of, oh yeah, half this content was only applicable in 2008, and
Right.
oh my goodness, look at how much we've moved along, or whereas this is like a little time capsule of it from a visual and written and photography perspective. So yeah, it's important for those reasons. It's also important to just keep exploring. We should never assume that game photography is any one thing. What is it? We're still learning what our craft is all about. And so the kinds of games and the kinds of choices that I'm wanting to make with the magazine is actually being quite daring and exploring. I have an idea, for example, of combining real-world photography and game photography together in the next issue, and I'm sort of on the cusp of commissioning a photo shoot by a real-world photographer who's going to take game photography and use it in an interesting way. So all these things are, yeah. So it's really about, hey, where can we take this? And the hard part is I want to explore sometimes maybe games that you don't love.
Ooh.
maybe games that you know, don't think actually would make for great game photography games, and then show why they might be. So it's really about it's kind of new journeys in art gaming is one of the little taglines I've got for the magazine. So hopefully it's exciting and challenging, and I want to commission more and more game photographers to get involved in themes and shooting particular games, and then working with other creatives. So they may have, you know, game photographers might be asked to collaborate with writers and smush together their, you know, two crafts.
Ooh, yeah.
There's just so much here to explore, and having something limited edition, it's kind of like a limited edition vinyl is the way I'm looking at the magazine.
Oh,
It's
wow.
not designed
Okay,
to be a big, massive. It's meant to be something quite special, and you know, the people who own it collect it. I
Yeah.
want it to be a collectible series that you. There's one particular magazine that I've got 15 years worth of this one magazine, art design magazine, and it's actually the ironic thing is it's a skate surf magazine, and I don't do either of those things, so I absolutely appreciate both of those lifestyle like sports, because they're all about motion, they're all about you know, combining some really exciting elements. But I've collected this magazine, even though I'm not their core audience, because I'm in love with their design and in love with what they're doing and how they explore it and how they combine it with art. And so really I want to do that with gaming and game photography.
So
Okay,
Logan
so
in the chat
yep,
asked, he said,
I can't see the chat, sorry,
okay,
by the
no
way.
worries,
So
no worries.
yeah,
He says, so feel free to ignore if it's been already answered, but what was the most
yep, sure.
challenging part of bringing the magazine from an idea in your head to an actual completed project?
Wow, good question.
Yeah, Logan's deep like that.
Yeah, no, and it's fantastic. I think there's lots of challenges. One of them was particularly finding a game, because I knew that I had to create a concept first that people could see, without necessarily commissioning lots of people and spending a lot of money
Right.
in the development of it, because obviously printing a magazine is quite expensive.
Yes.
So it was really about finding a game that could showcase something that people haven't seen before. And when I got a really good response to some of my Overwatch shots last year, I stumbled back across that set, and I realized how much I loved those photos and how different Overwatch seemed. Like some of those shots, you won't even know that they're Overwatch.
No.
They're just like, where does that come from? And what part? Like, I've had Overwatch players that are rampant competitive players, and they go, I don't even know what map that's from. Like,
that's
that
great.
particular detail, and so I'm showing them their own game back to them in a different way. And I think this is one of the really exciting aspects of game photography, is that we can imbue our own personal messages and personal styles, but still showcase a game like that's still the game, if that makes sense. So that's a real challenge. Is you know, the biggest temptation right now is to find all the games that everybody loves to take photos of, and just run a magazine full of everybody's, you know, sort of what I like to call glamour shots. You know, the shots that are, you know the shots in God of War that are just, you know, quite literally Kratos looking badass, and the photography is superb and the lighting's spot on and all the weapons look amazing. But the problem is that while those are beautiful, we see them. Like, I'm getting to the point where I've seen those shots over and over and over again, and now I want to see something different about that game. So it's about finding those games and breaking people's expectations. I want to challenge ourselves as to what is game photography. What can it be? What can it look like? And I think part of that is a little bit of what I'm doing with the control set that I've been shooting is trying to, because I'm sort of, 4 months late to this game, which is there such a thing as FOMO, like PHOMO?
Oh yeah.
Where photo mode
Yes.
is
Yes.
FOMO?
That's a real thing. You just coined it. It's like Prellis.
Yeah,
But
like PHOMO. I've had that photo mode FOMO for control for such a long time, and the problem was when I got to the game, it's like, right, what do I shoot? Because everybody's done this and done this so well, and there are so many gorgeous shots.
right.
How do I bring something fresh to that? And I think that's also our challenge, is as game photographers to look wide. That was also my set at the gallery exhibition at PAX. I shot Horizon Zero Dawn perhaps in a few different ways that people kind of weren't expecting.
Yeah.
And I hope they responded to that.
I mean,
so,
if you
I don't
guys
know,
haven't
like
seen-
Cindy, Lem, do you do that yourself? Like, do you look? What's your process, and how does that
to be
work
honest,
for you?
I feel like I am so photo mode basic.
Oh, for sure. I am too. I am like the worst.
Yeah, I am
I
so
feel
photo
like
mode
such an
basic.
amateur.
And I try to get outside of that, especially like when I first saw your Overwatch shots. I was like, oh my goodness, that's brilliant. Of doing it, because I tried to do landscapes, and it's not necessarily you didn't do landscapes. What you captured was the essence of the map. What's the feeling of the map? And because I'm a portrait photographer and a event photographer, so like bands and concerts and such like that, I go for that rock star, kind of the rock star poses and looks. And it's kind of like what I'm working on here, which you can't see, but I've been working in Kingdom Hearts 3, the DLC, and just playing around with different lighting and different poses and different sets of characters, but I've only done characters that in the game belong with each other, quote unquote belong to each other.
Yeah, right.
So what I need to challenge myself to do is, and I'm doing this right now, is to find characters that don't necessarily belong together. And I did this in one of my sets. That don't necessarily belong together, that would be working together and putting them together in these situations. I have oh good lord, it's a Riku. Hold on, I don't remember the characters' names. It's
Sorry.
Riku. Oh jeez, who is it?
I can't see what you're doing, but can you put the same character in?
No,
with
you
itself?
can't.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be great. It was Riku, Young's Riku, Dark Riku, and Vanitas. And those two, the Dark Riku and Vanitas, are bad guys, and Riku's a good guy.
Yep.
So, so I put
That's
them together,
questionable.
and there was a giant mech chasing them down, and it looked like one of those fun, boy band type pictures. It's an action photo, but they could easily take it down, but it looks like they're having fun running away from it. But that's not something you would see in the game.
Yeah.
So
So in some ways, you're already creating a dialogue about, an alternate story using
Right.
what's there.
and that's what I'm doing with. I'm trying to do that with Kingdom Hearts 3. So
Cool. What about you, Cindy?
I am very, very, very basic. I don't know, like, I guess I don't feel very confident in what I'm, like, my skills, because I just jump in and go to photo mode and just play around and see what kind of looks good, and I'm never happy with what it looks like. And so I just
That
take
describes
pictures and
probably
go on.
90% of...
I hate it. But that's just me being overcritical, because I'm also a photographer. I do real life photography as well, and
Oh, cool.
but I do more landscape, and I don't do portrait hardly at all, which is what I usually do in game is portrait, which is really weird.
Oh,
But
so
I
you're
find myself
stretching
having a
yourself
hard
there.
time getting used to all the different, because every photo mode is different,
Oh yeah, yep.
right.
and it's weird because like every single one you do, like each one has a different button for the exposure. Each one has a different one for the focal point, or the f-stop, or the aperture, and it's just, and I'll always, every single time I will roll it instead of doing something else, and it messes up the entire shot, and I can't just hit back, you know.
Yes.
And it's just,
Yes.
I feel like an amateur in what I'm doing.
No, you just described pretty much all of our frustrations when you've got that near perfect shot and then just one little nudge of the thumbstick and it's ruined and you can never get it back. And it's like, ah!
Yeah. You had it just perfect. You just need to line up the shot and you hit the wrong button and it's gone.
Yep.
And you'll never get that back.
Right.
I tend to treat photo modes like games within themselves.
Yes.
They're like, you know, when you've got hidden collectibles in games, that's how I sort of treat a photo mode. I go, okay, you know, I got the basics down. Now where are all the hidden collectibles? Now what can I do? Can I run the wrong way? Can I, you know, can I trigger the photo mode while I'm falling? Can I trigger the photo mode when I'm doing this? Can I? And just,
or will it be a restricted camera mode, you know? Because a lot of them, like in God of War, if you're in the middle of a forest camera scene, you can go into photo mode, but it's just restricted. You can't move the camera.
Yeah.
What's the point of a photo mode if you can't move the camera?
Well, I tend to understand that there are certain sections where they've got a very linear, prescribed kind of path, or a, you know, scene. But yeah, that can be frustrating. It's like, oh, this is really, oh no, okay, I'm not allowed to use it here.
I found they always hide the photo mode. Like, you have to figure out which button to push, and in every game it's different. Like, some games it's R3 and L3 at the same time. And Uncharted, it's the down button, which is random. If you don't turn that off and you're in the middle of a fight, you're just gonna randomly go to photo mode, and I'm like, I was about to get the killing shot.
Yeah. Which makes me so excited for the back button attachment that's just coming out. Like, it's come out in the UK but it's not here in Australia yet, because one of the buttons you can map is obviously the options button, and so it's effectively having under buttons so that you can be fighting and just quickly trigger, like with maybe one of your middle fingers underneath the controller where you're holding it. The photo mode, which I'm so excited about with regards to the number of times I've died in Control and had to go back and restart an entire section, because I'm mucking around within a fight and just get shot in the head or something. I'm so excited to be able to have like a bit of a faster response, and then being able to trigger that. So Cindy, like, might be well worth looking into that, in terms of, because you can map it to most of the buttons, but not the share button of all things. Someone please make one where you can map it to the share button.
Logan says,
as soon as you start the game, you have to figure it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Every single game is different. Every single one has their own way that they want to do things.
Logan says the PS4 back button attachment is so good. It's out now, and I'm using the crap out of it. By the way,
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Logan is a IRL photographer, uh,
Hmm.
and he's starting to get into gametography a bit. Uh,
Hey, sweet.
yeah.
I must be one of the only people that actually doesn't do photography in real life. I, I mean, I used to as part of a job, but haven't for a long time. So I kind of, I'm starting to feel very, a little less, you know,
He says dabbling,
a little
dabbling in
nervous around all
gametography.
these. Right. Yeah, still, if you've got a fundamental knowledge in photography and you do it as a job, you are, oh my gosh, you're 60% of the way there.
Yeah,
Purely because just all those fundamental design and that ability, I think what I have at least is there's an instinct that game photographers have, that good game photographers have, to kind of just know what might be a good shot or the balance of a shot without, necessarily. And sometimes that means actually you're breaking the rules, but the balance is still there because of something else. I don't know. That's me just channeling David Carson, graphic designer, who basically says, you know, go with instinct on everything. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think there's know the rules enough, but follow your heart. Like, totally just shoot what you want to shoot.
right.
Don't shoot stuff wondering whether other people are going to like it or wondering whether other people are going to, like, whether it compares to this shot that somebody else took.
See,
Because you'll just kill yourself doing that.
yes, you do, and
I
I
struggle
won't
with that
lie.
all the
That's
time.
something that I do.
Yeah.
I am guilty of uh, being that person that
Yep.
is that I compare myself to so many people because
Yep.
in what we do, we have we oh my gosh, so many talented folks.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Every day the feed is just, oh,
right, there's somebody else.
so
There's
good.
somebody else that's just
Yeah.
amazing. And granted, we didn't necessarily start this whole thing, like game photography, like you said, at like the panel said at PAX Australia. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah,
Um,
it has. Yeah.
but I mean, just I think there's been a boom of it in the
Yeah.
since we've since definitely since the PAX Australia. Pardon me, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's right.
the gallery.
Gallery exhibition. Yeah.
Yeah, the gallery exposition. I mean, there's definitely been a boom, and
Yeah, definitely.
you know, yay, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Look, if I was completely honest, which I am almost all the time, in fact, I don't think I can not be. But anyway, I think that's why I actually like to go looking for shots that other people don't take, is so that I can avoid some of that. So I'm not constantly thinking of that, you know?
yeah,
It's well, because if I'm taking a shot that I haven't seen before somewhere else, there are so many locations in Control where I go, oh, this would be a beautiful. No, wait, 500 people have taken this shot before me,
right,
and they're all fantastic. What have I got to offer here? So I pass it by, which, so it does sort of play on your mind a little bit. But when you're exploring where your own heart goes or your own style, yeah, it doesn't matter if there are other similar shots or what else anyone has taken, because it's your style. It's not the game style or the expected style or
right.
that's a lot of where I come from is just every game that I play and shoot, I'm constantly saying, like, how is this going to add to my style? What is my style? And what do I learn about me from shooting this game? And it's such an exciting journey. And in part, like going back to the magazine, that's sort of what I want to show. I want to show that this world outside of that, and this, I want to give people opportunities by challenging them, and not just like theme challenges, but by, you know, if you have to supply a set to a printed magazine,
Right.
and they're stipulating what you can shoot, and they're getting you to collaborate with a different type of creative, what comes out of that? How do you grow? How do you, you know, what does that, how does that change you, and what do you become out of that? And partially that's the growth of the photographers and the writers and the people who contribute to the magazine is intensely what I'm about. And you knew that from the gallery exhibition. I actually got to, even before the gallery exhibition had opened, I realized that my single driving goal was actually to make you all proud of yourselves for being part of this. And I actually stopped caring about like anything else. And it was like, can I put on a show where each one of the game photographers that's exhibited in this stops and goes, wow, like I was part of that. That was special. That I felt good about myself, and I saw my work taken and given another worth, another level of worth that it deserved. And that was the thing. Like, I was seeing these amazing photos and seeing people, and back then, you know, it was certainly different. We've all grown. We've all become even better photographers since then. You know, but I wanted to show that it was worth more, that it, you know, that it deserved this level of respect.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of, with the magazine, I want to take people's work and take people and on a journey.
And it's not just game photographers that you're getting to do this.
No. No.
You've got writers that.
Yeah, so I've been very fortunate. As you know, I've worked for Disney Australia. I worked for THQ before they went bust, obviously, the big game publisher. I've worked for indie game publishers. So I've worked mostly in PR with a little bit of marketing. And I've had the pleasure of just working with so many talented writers here in Australia. And I basically, you know, I started small. I didn't want to reach out to people I didn't know. I wanted to reach out to people that I'd worked with, that I could trust the work of, or people that I wanted to give, like, there are some new voices in there, people I'd never worked with as well. I'm challenging myself to find new voices and to have an incredible diversity of voices too. So, you know, the writers just have so many different backgrounds, you know, whether that's in terms of sexual orientation, in terms of there are disabled writers, chronically ill writers, there's you know, POC writers, there's people who've never written really before for a publication or just starting out in games writing. There are comedians that one of the contributors is a comedian who didn't write something necessarily comedic, but, you know, just that chance to kind of like write in that space. There's also just a gamut, and I want to continue that path. There's probably my one wish was to have gotten a non-binary writer in there as well, and so issue 2 is just like absolutely, that's one of the groups that I want to be targeting in terms of offering you know, marginalized and underrepresented voices, particularly in games. You know, I want to really explore that space, but in a creative way, not so that they're always having to write about who they are or defend themselves or, you know, champion something. I want them in it just because of, you know, where they've come from and their stories and who they are as people, because that contributes, you know, incredibly to the wider pool of experiences, particularly within a multiplayer shooter like you know, in team-based shooter like Overwatch. You know, there are people in there who hadn't played the game, and they said, I can't write about this because I've never played. And it's like, actually, you've got this really amazing perspective on the game as an outsider.
Exactly.
And that's just as important as somebody who's looking at it, who's, you know, a massive fan and a massive player of the game. So I want to explore that, and hopefully through the game photography, through the writing, through the design, it all comes together and just has this incredible kind of overview, or you know, perspective pool, melting, you know, pot of perspectives, and just shows us what we love, reflects it back in kind of like a disco ball of refractions, you know.
All right.
But yeah.
So how can someone help with this? I mean, this is a big project.
Yeah, look, I mean, so fundamentally, the hardest part is this is a magazine that has, as I said, it's. Do you remember when vinyl first started to become kind of popular again?
Yes.
And it was only like a very small group of people who embraced it to start with.
Yes.
And then obviously everyone went, hey, actually, that's really cool. I kind of feel like that's where the magazine is at. It's this tiny kind of, you know, little wedge that I've gotten hold of, and somehow I need to find people who are on board that will back it and can back it seeing the bigger picture,
Yes.
the long-term picture. You know, the idea that, yeah, look, you know what, I'm not into Overwatch, or I'm not into this game, or there might be games that I don't necessarily care for. But the experience that I'll get out of the magazine, even on games that I don't play, hopefully is so good that, you know, it's like listening, you know, when Sub Pop kind of first started,
Yeah.
before they obviously signed up all the big bands, and it was like they used to do mixtapes and stuff like that, and people just went, you know, this really tiny small group of people went wild over how diverse their music was, and then all of a sudden, of course, they signed up, you know, grunge and, you know, all kinds of garage punk and whatever, and everyone went whoa, and that hit the main stage, you know, the world stage, and suddenly it became cool. I feel like Sub Pop, like, but I feel like I've just opened the doors of Sub Pop, you know, and so yeah, the first thing is, if you totally dig the idea of the magazine, back it, but also help us find more people like you.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you know, we're it's a bit of a you know, we're about 40% of the way through the time and only 10% of the way through what we need to raise in terms of the Kickstarter. But I'm also confident that I feel like once the door opens on this audience, or once the, you know, it sort of spreads to that right. I don't know how Sub Pop did it, or how, you know, but there was this word of mouth, or somehow it found its family, its audience, and I feel like that's what could happen with Off Map in the next couple of weeks, is that it just finds its way into the right spaces and goes like, and it's impossible to market to that, like, you know, the idea of getting Facebook ads to try and find this type of person is, you know, it just also makes me feel a little bit queasy, but
A little cringy.
a little bit cringy. But it's not how it happens. You know, it happens because people want to be part of the journey, because people love it and they want to see it grow, and yeah, and they catch hold of that. You know, they could support it or be part of that journey and get involved, even, especially if they're game photographers or writers, and even if they're not necessarily writers, we're going to take stabs, or, you know, and give opportunities to people who haven't written before, because literally the issue 0 brief was write about Overwatch. You have 50 words. You can write anything you like in whatever style you like. And that was the brief.
Yeah.
And so,
well, let me tell you, as a writer, was never written for a magazine, I was so incredibly intimidated.
Yeah. Well, intimidated, but that's probably because the door is so wide open on what you can say. And so literally it's just about, hey, what do I want to say? And your piece in particular about the kindergarten crew, like your Overwatch squad that you play with, was great. It was brilliant. It was exactly what I was hoping for. Honest, interesting, a different perspective to everything else that's in there, and yet thematically there's strands of what you were talking about coming out of like lots of other different people's pieces. That idea of people finding a home, people finding a family in that game. That, yeah, they might only play with them. Like they might be from all over the country or from all over the world, but it brings them together for this short period of time and they have fun.
Yes.
And they remember that what life is about, that, this idea of sharing our journeys with each other and opening our hearts to each other and, being human,
Yeah.
kind of. And that's a core part of, this magazine. I want it to be human. I want it to feel like it's not, well, it's independent, so effectively nobody's kind of telling me what can or can't be in that magazine. But also, there is an opportunity too, though, still for, and I'm going to sort of drop a little kind of something here that I need to be careful about how I position, but I know that there's merit in this magazine because the communications director of a very large studio, very prominent studio, saw a couple of images of the magazine and dropped me a line and said, hey, we have a game coming out later on. Like, most people normally perceive it this, what we do this way. We'd love something different that explores it differently.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
And I said, look, obviously, like, there's nothing I can promise right now because I don't even know if I have a magazine that's off the ground. But I said, do you know what? Like, that kind of opportunity to, particularly, we could have opportunities to play games that aren't kind of out yet, and to offer that to a couple of game photographers who obviously would have to be on strict NDAs and all sorts of stuff,
Right,
but it's kind of and this this game would I shouldn't give too much anyway, but this game would be really interesting because it's probably not a game I would expect to shoot. It's not a game I would myself go out to look to shoot. But I could see it being really exciting for that reason. And again, just this opportunity to explore games in different ways. And then not only that, but then for writers to write about like that experience or, something. And it's not always going to be the experience of playing the game. I want the writers, for example, not to give anything away, but I kind of know that I want to do Ruiner as one of
yes.
a feature.
I remember you asked about that.
And and I've shot 900 photos in that game already.
Wow.
And I, and that's just going to be to make up my littles. I kind of want to get some other people's, but that's also the one where I've got the real world photographer involved. And of course you can imagine cyberpunk, so the photo shoot with a couple of really interesting models could be amazing if that goes ahead. Anyway, with some real people as well. So we start to see like game photography and people being combined, like humanizing game photography as well, or bringing, real people in. I don't know what that means, but, bringing flesh and blood people and working the two in together.
Melding them together.
But for example, like my idea of that game is literally, for the writing, might be something along the lines of, you're the hacker, her, I don't know if you've played the game, but write a letter saying, hello, your first 2 words have to be hello puppy. And that's it. And that's what people can write about. And so they can pretend that maybe the hacker and the main protagonist are actually, 50s American housewives living in some kind of cyberpunk existence, you know, and it's sort of like, oh, I went to I went to the chop shop today and picked up, a couple of chips for you. Or it could be, completely something else. It could be something about the game. My piece, for example, would be there's something that I actually really didn't like about the game that left me feeling uneasy. And so mine is actually going to be rewriting the game through that voice.
Oh,
So that I change some of the stories. So it'd be, hello, puppy, like, you don't know this yet, but da-da-da-da-da, like, because, because the hacker has changed all these things. So, I mean, I'm obviously sort of elaborating too much at this point, but these are the kinds of ideas, and none of this is yet in stone. Like, obviously, Control is a game I would love to do. But I also want to do games that I just that somebody suggested The Sims as a game.
Oh yes,
to shoot.
That's actually a fun game to shoot. I've got
is it? There you go. So
a couple of shots in that, I think.
Yeah, so something like that might be really fascinating too, because there's an opportunity to talk about our existence as people. And our lives in a way. Once you combine that and the writing together, the game photography could be, the whole kitchen's on fire, and it could be a play on the, this is fine meme where somebody's entire kitchen is burning down and they're drinking coffee, and it's kind of like that could be somebody's shot, or that could be somebody's take on that they want this, this kind of modern lifestyle dystopia where everything's going wrong. Or it could just be really sad. It could be just they do an entire set of characters just on the point of despair.
Yeah.
And that would be powerful too. So yeah, you can see that I never stop thinking.
Oh, that's
regrettably,
fantastic.
it's probably one of my.
That's great.
But they're the kinds of things that I want to explore with the magazine, and hopefully, as I talk about it, hopefully it excites, other people in terms of what is possible. I don't know. I'll leave that to you and Cindy to answer.
Fantastic. Well, I think we are good on our time for today, and I love that we talked about off map the whole time.
Oh, did I just use the whole stream? I'm sorry.
Here's the thing,
I didn't know it was.
Drew, I was excited.
That was the whole point.
That was really the point. I had Kingdom Hearts in my back pocket just in case, but the whole point was to get you to talk more about the magazine. A little birdie told me that you might not want to talk the magazine up a lot, and I'm glad that we were able to encourage you to do so.
Well, I'm so sorry. I thought your stream goes for a little bit longer. I didn't realize we've been talking for an hour. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Anyway. Thank you. It's a pleasure. As you can tell, I'm quite passionate about it, and really, if anyone does want to talk to me about it, I'm more than approachable. This is not a hands-off kind of thing. I really want the community to feel like, the most powerful thing about community that I've learnt in my life is the idea that if an entire community holds the approach that when one person succeeds, we all succeed, so long as everybody takes that approach, it's a very powerful kind of dynamic. And my desire is not necessarily for the magazine to succeed, just for it to succeed, but hopefully by it succeeding, so many other people can find, a level of success or a level of kind of something else in being part of that journey and in contributing and in, you know, obviously, if there's opportunity, because obviously I pay for everything that's contributed,
Right.
which is probably an important factor.
Yes.
And there are ways that game photographers can be paid, I believe, for their work.
Yeah.
So, which is what I've been working on, and a lot of why it's taken a while to get the magazine
Right.
to this point.
And I love that you always go through the proper channels. Always. That's why it takes
Yeah,
a little bit, but it's done right. I love that about you.
yeah. Yes, we'll hopefully see. I do know that Blizzard Activision are very much aware of the project. So yeah, look, and I'd love their support in it. And obviously not every comment in the magazine is positive, but that's also the reality.
Yeah.
Is that we can't just glow about our games. We've got to be critical, and it's editorial. It's so many people love the game and write about that. A couple of people talk about some of the shortcomings, and we're all open to discussing those too.
Awesome.
So yeah. Anyway, I really have to stop talking. Please take it away.
Where can people find you, Drew?
You can find me at Drew M. Taylor on Twitter, at Offmap Magazine on Twitter, and really I use Twitter primarily because too many social medias. I have trouble just keeping up with Twitter. So
Tell me
there's
about
a
it.
good place. Yeah. Awesome.
All
Well,
right, Cindy,
thank
where
you,
can we find
Cindy
you?
and Lev. Yeah.
Did we lose Cindy?
No,
I don't
I'm here.
know.
What?
I just lost
I'm
you.
sorry.
Oh, I'd say, where
What?
can we find you?
Disney Pix Chick everywhere.
Everywhere, you guys.
Cause everywhere.
No vowels except
So
right
is
in the
that the
middle.
place? Is that the place where on Instagram you're posting your pick a day?
It's my Instagram, it's my Twitter, it's all the
Okay.
above.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
And you can find me
I will
as
go
Bad
find you
Gamer
on
Elite
Instagram.
on Twitter, and Bad Gamer Elite on Instagram, Bad Gamer Elite on Flickr. Although Flickr, I've been kind of leaving it alone for a little bit. I don't know why. All right. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Bad Gamers Unite.
Thank you.
Gametographers, keep on snapping. Peace. It's not going away.
Oh, I'll stay silent.
I think we're there. It is. Go away.